Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Backpack Trader Training Room for Thursday, December 8th. Please note the required risk disclosure. This room is for educational and information purposes only. It is not to be considered individual financial advice. Trading of this type carries significant risks and should only be attempted with risk capital, i.e., capital you can afford to lose. All right. Jumping in, we're about 2 minutes from market open. We have a possible get in sync short on the YM. Soybeans has stopped out of its prior trade, so we're looking for a new setup there. Crude oil, 903.13, entry at 74.49, and just meanders around. We get a stop and reverse setup that never triggers, 74.68, and ultimately it breaks down, hitting targets 1 and target 2, 54 ticks net for a one and done session. So we'll keep an eye there for the 10 o'clock session. Please do say hello. Good morning, Jeff. Markets are about to open. Another 25 seconds. We'll come back to unleaded. It took a little bit longer, but it was also POQ this morning, or at least target 2 took a little bit longer. And we are in our session. All right. Okay, the YM, that looks like, yep, it triggered us in and took us to stop. Not a nice way for it to treat us, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Another short, 749. And soybeans also with a short. And lots of opportunities to get involved in that trade. Soybeans in the short, YM in a short. The Russell, that looks like it probably went too far too fast. Possibly you had a 5-second bar on this second bar, so it may have pulled back there. If it did and it was executable, targets 3, 4, and a small trailer, And then coming back to the short side, 9-second bar, so definitely in the short. Target 3 and 4. So winner number 2. YM with a stop and reverse setup. That's going to be at 66, 766. Two-tick stop and reverse adjustment plus a key level adjustment because we're working with a stop. And money match target 1 on soybeans. 8-tick target 1. Stop now at 78.50. The Russell stop at 16.7. We are still short on the YM. 1, 2, and the stop and reverse is canceled. You can move your stop back up to 91 or keep it at 66, depending on how you have your trade plan set up. All right, while we're waiting for that to come around, let's take a look at unleaded. This short trade had gone too far first at our start time. We pick up the long. Well, I don't know, 5 seconds. That may not be tradable. In fact, that probably is not an executable trade. 5 seconds, and it was halfway up to money management already. So then we come to the short, 902.30. Lots of opportunities to get in that. And that stops and reverses. It's going to be a very, very small loss. The entry was 11.34. Our stop and reverse is going to be 11.41. So just 14 ticks total loss, 7 ticks per position. That goes to target 1. So target 1 traders are going to be out of that at that will be a POQ. Actually, yeah, that should be a POQ to target 1. 23 ticks, and yeah, we were only down 14. So then you pick up another tick on the trailer. So 24 ticks, you pick up 10 on the day. That's done. Target 2 traders will take this short trade, and that will get us target 2 and a very nice trailer, or at least a target 1 plus trailer. That gets you 77 ticks on target. 1061 from the entry at 1112. 51. 128 ticks on the morning for less what? 12. So 116 ticks net on the morning on 3 trades and POQ. All right, soybeans did stop out, so that is done. The YM has we actually got target 1 on that short trade and a small trailer. Now we're in a long 10-second bar. It looked like we had some time to get into that. Money management. So our loss on this first trade was 45, so we're down 90. We pick up 31 to target 1. The entry is 749. Our stop was 741, so that's another 8. So 39 ticks leaves us at 51. And money management and a 1-tick stop out on the long. So we pick up 2 ticks there. We're now down 49. And the Russell did stop out. So let's look at the micro NQ, see where we are there. And that, let's see. Yeah, too far before our start time. So not involved in this short trade. Oh, there was the, so where was the oversold? But it's right there, just barely poked through 0.53. And the new long, 86. All right, target 1 is 35 ticks. We're down 49, so we'll need target plus something on the trailer. All right, something, and MNQ stopped out, so we'll see what we get. We have a, I would say that's an avoidable trade. It spiked through the entry and then went to the stop. So no trade on that M2K tray. On the pound Aussie, 8:30 start. So our first trade is the long. That comes to stop and reverse at 50. Actually, that would come to a stop and reverse at 50, 54 or 52, depending on how you build that one. At 52, you would have stayed in it. And because it's a stop, well, yeah, 54 is actually the right place. So it would have stopped and reversed to short, then stopped and reversed back to long at 68. That pushes our money management to 80. And therefore, we missed money management by 1 tick and did not stop out. So we are still actually in this long trade with our first actionable target at 8061. Hi, good morning, Pamela. Good morning, Trader Man. And good morning to those of you joining us a few minutes after I got started. Please do say hello. Short on the YM. That is a stop and reverse at 77, and we are in it. So that's going to be a loss from 86 to 77. 918 ticks. So we were down 49. We're down down 67. And in the short, MNQ was a long trade, it looks like. That's just 2 seconds. And then it looks like it pulled back. So I would say that's, at this point, that's a get in sync. The Russell and the MNQ definitely showing down trends. The YM pushed up, now possibly coming down, but not nearly as quickly, it seems, as the M2K and the MNQ. Okay, so you did get into that one. I wasn't watching it when it happened. The initial bar was just 2 seconds. And I don't know how fast it came back down through. No, I'm sorry. The initial bar was 12 seconds. So yeah, definitely a full stop on that one. So that's a full loss. William, you probably got this short and you picked up a target too and a bit of a trailer. I went 49 to 01, so it was 12 seconds, not 2 seconds. That was my mistake. And, not nice. What's 93, 96. So we stayed in the short. Potential stop and reverse, but that was at 96. And you know, we missed it by a tick. So we are still in the short, getting target 1 on the YM. That was a stop and reverse at 77, so a 2-tick adjustment. Target 1 is 25. So that means we're down 42 still. And we are trailing. There's money management on the subsequent trade. $761 is where our current stop would be. Now, I believe we came to 58. Yep, we came down to 58 and just stopped out at 58. So 77 to 58, 19. So we're down 23. Need another trade. You're William, are you running on micro NQ or the NQ? Oh, your fourth candle was an up candle, huh? Okay. And that's interesting. All right, then this one, we just picked up a break even on the short side on the MNQ. A stop and reverse loss on the Russell, but that didn't switched us over to long, and now target 3 there. And the MNQ with the long as well. Yeah, 11 seconds, plenty of time to get in the MNQ long. 7 seconds, probably had time to get into the Russell. That would be a stop and reverse. But targets 3 and 4 and trailing. MNQ hitting target 1. So break even stop at 06.75. Oh, those are always nasty. Interesting, different data provider, different broker, slightly different data. All right. Getting target 2 at 81 on the pound Aussie in the long that we stayed in because of the stop and reverse adjustment. So that's 2 positions coming off for 11 pips. And now we move the stop to 69. $12.8 for the Russell stop. Win number 3 with 1 loss. Russell in positive territory for the session, as is the MNQ at the moment. MNQ working back and forth around its session open from yesterday evening. All right, the YM in a new long. Target of 45. That will definitely get us positive. $14.9 for the Russell stop. MNQ missing target 2 by a tick, it looks like. And there it is. 535 even. And it hit it on the nose. One loss, 1 break even, and trailing now at 525. And target 2 was 535. 18.2 on the Russell. Target 1 on the YM. So that will give us POQ today on the YM. And not going to be positive yet on the pound Aussie, but that's going to definitely help us get closer, and it did just stop out. So 3 additional positions stopping out for 1 pip. So 25 pips. Doesn't look like that's going to be enough to get us positive. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be enough to get us positive. And 527.75 for the MNQ stop. 18.7 for the Russell stop. Target 3 on the MNQ. 19.7 on 20.7 on the Russell. 30.5 on the MNQ. Pushing for target 3. New session high on the micro Russell. And the YM did stop out, also setting a new session high now. YM stopped out at 789. That is our POQ. Looks like probably somewhere around 30 ticks. Let's see what that was. 789 from an entry at 766. Yeah. 23. Is that it? 60. Yeah, 20. 23 pips to our 45 for the target is 68, and we were down 23. So we actually end up 45 on the day. And done there. A little more than 5 minutes to our crude oil 10 a.m. session this morning. Not an inventory session. That was yesterday. Russell stopping out at 1822.7. MNQ hitting target 4 and the stop at 541.75. So Russell 22.7. The entry was 10.7, so 12 points, 120 ticks on the trailer, plus 28 and 36, 64 ticks for our targets, and 120 on the trailer for a nice solid 184 tick trade. Win number 3. One more win. Two more trades. That was trade number 4. So one crude session positive, unleaded session positive, soybeans positive, YM positive. Looks like the Russell is definitely positive. Pound Aussie is got some catching up to do. And that should get MNQ positive for the moment. A loss, a break even, and a solid win. And that should get us definitely to positive. 562.25, 565.25. And a new long on the Russell. 2, 4, still 4, 9 seconds. That didn't get back. And we touched, yeah, we're trailing already, but we touched target 1, although we didn't get our 14, so we could actually, that actually would be a get in sync. Stop trailing up, still just a little bit of risk on the trade, but we did come back and get a chance to get in without hitting the stop. Entry at 24.7, and the stop currently sits at 24.4, so we got 3 ticks of risk on. Looks like we came within 1. Yeah, 24.5. Oh, nope. We had a wick on that trade, so target 1 was enough to put us at break even. So that was too far. That's a no trade. That went up too fast to catch before it came back down to the entry. It would have been a break even. And the micro NQ at 574.25, and just a tick, getting within a tick of its session high. And now setting a new one, 577.25. Well, okay. Two ways to go about that. Are you talking about the charts that we're using for examples in the trade room, or what I actually trade? I only actually trade 3 markets. I'll trade the pound Aussie, crude, micro crude, and the micro YM. And crude really is my highest probability market at this point. Although I need to go back, I need to go back and do some testing on the micro NQ and the Russell, because they seem to be doing quite well. But yeah, crude is my go-to. That's the one that I focus on the most. Okay, 598 even for the MNQ stop. Russell stopped out of that trade. But yeah, there is the break even stop. Once that bar that did come back to the entry closed, it shows the break even stop. So that would have been a break even trade for us if you move the stop intra bar. If you don't move the stop intra bar, then yep, that's a valid trade. We pick up a partial on it, just the trailer. So taking 3 positions off on the trailer alone. And the micro NQ challenging its stop within 3 ticks. We're in the 10 o'clock crude session, and I'm not watching. Okay, so yeah, our first trade was the short, this 200 EMA short. Not everybody's going to have that one. And now in long, 73.76. Okay, MNQ did stop out 598 from 506.50, so 91.5 points on the trailer. Not to mention targets 2, 3, and 4, which I believe is another, 69, 121.5. So a little over 200 points net on the MNQ trade. Crude got close to money management, but still in the long trade. I'll take that from 76 since most people will not have the 200 EMA trade, short trade. All right, crude hitting, looks like it hit target 1 on the nose. 19 ticks. 17 if it's a stop and reverse. And let's see, what was our loss? 58 to 78, 40 ticks. So we're down 21 still. And stopping out at 84. So that would have been 7. So down 14 if you took the initial trade. If you didn't get that 200 EMA trade, that's a one and done session. And the Russell with another long trade. That actually was our 4th win on the Russell. So that session is ended. And unfortunately, we didn't get a, looks like we did not get a cross. Yeah, we didn't get a full cross. They corresponded, but we didn't get a cross to set up a new long trade on the MNQ. So we're just following along there. Crude oil trade is filtered by this squeeze zone. And not much new anywhere else. Pound Aussie and the MNQ still looking for trades. Crude possibly looking for trades. And depending on your particular trade sequence, whether you use the 200 EMA trade or not. And there's another 200 EMA trade on crude. So if you use that, this is a valid trade. That's trade number 3. This is our last trade of the session. Because if you use the first one, then you're certainly going to take this one. And trying to head for target. Target is worth 20 ticks. The 200 EMA trade, Jeff, is no, the crude report is on the inventory report is only once a week. Typically it's 10:30 Wednesdays. Unless there's a Monday holiday, then it's pushed to 11 o'clock on Thursday or possibly even 11 o'clock on Friday. I've seen that happen once in the 8 years I've been trading. So it was actually election day 2020, I believe it was, or the week of the November, the week of the election, national election on 2020. Because the election was Monday was a holiday, the election was on Tuesday, and so they pushed it all the way to Friday. But as I say, that's extremely rare. And we have a stop and reverse now. 54 for the entry. Original short entry, 53. So I guess I would push that to 50, the entry to 56. Take a couple of tick loss there. But so far, still in the short and money management in the short. So the long cancels and our stop now is at 51. And stopping out at 51 and another long trade at 56. But that is trade number 4. So picking up 3 ticks, so 6 ticks. We ended up down 8 on the session if you use the 200 EMA trades. One and done if you didn't. So the 200 EMA trade, Jeff, that you were asking about it's just like the yellow 50 EMA trade. It's proximity to the 200 EMA. So in this case, our setup bar is this short bar here with a high at 73.80. So the exhaustion dots were at 73.82, and the closest the 200 got was on the third dot at 73.85. So that's within 3 ticks, and that's where the trade comes from. Just like the trade off the 50 EMA or the 20 EMA for that 20 SMA for that matter. And that's in Spotlight, of course. Now, looking at some of these Renko charts on the micro Russell and the micro NQ, that looks like, as I say, I haven't done testing on them yet, but I'm definitely leaning toward going ahead and doing some of that. Oh yeah, your 377 tick chart is going to be much different, Jeff, because it's strictly based on number of transactions, not the price. It's based on 377 transactions per bar. It doesn't care what the price of those transactions are, whereas with the range bars on Spotlight, it's pure price action. It's not a difference so much a difference in TradeStation and NinjaTrader. It's a difference in the 377 tick chart versus the 8 tick or 8 cent momentum bar. Because that's an 8 tick range bar on NinjaTrader that I'm showing on Spotlight. And your counterpunch chart is the 377 tick, which works fine, but both Troy and I both have transitioned away from the 377 tick to the range bars because they are more price action based. As you've seen and has been mentioned in the the mastermind sessions, the 377 tick can have some very large bars because it's 377 transactions, and it doesn't care what the price is. Just like similar to the way a 5-minute bar reacts, it could be a very small bar or a very large bar depending on what the price action within that 5 minutes was. It's more tied to the true market flow than a time-based. The 377 tick chart is much more closely tied to a market-based chart than a time-based chart, but it's still not quite true price action. It's not price action driven. I'll put it that way. It's activity driven. And that's another place where, as was mentioned Tuesday, the character of the 377 tick on the full crude contract has definitely changed since my point 0.08 momentum would be the way to set it up. 0.8 would be an 80 tick bar, range bar on crude, and that's going to give you some absolutely huge trades. I mean, you're going to be talking about, with an 80 tick bar, you'd be talking about trades on average something north of 200 ticks of risk. And that's a $2,000 risk on every trade. That's going to take a big account to trade it. $2,000 being 2% of the account, you're talking about $100,000 account. Yeah, exactly. So what I'm running an 8 cent. The 8 tick range I'm running is an 8 cent momentum bar, and that's what Troy and I have both been running on Spotlight. That's what the basic trade plan for Spot, and that's where Spotlight a lot of Spotlight came from, was the crude 8 tick range bar or 8 cent momentum bar. And as Troy mentioned, my theory of what's changed is with the micro crude, with the introduction of micro crude, a lot of the retail traders like us have switched over to micro crude because we can position size and start with smaller accounts. We can do more granular position sizing and work with smaller accounts more easily. But I think we've pulled a lot of transactions off of the the full crude contract, but not really a lot of volume. It's still got the kind of volume it used to have, but it hasn't got the activity level that it used to have, which is the major thing that the 377 tick relied on. So what's happening is the 377 tick trades have gotten considerably large. The average trade's gotten considerably larger. Whereas with the 8 tick momentum bar or the 8 cent momentum bar, your average trade is still going to be in the 22 to 24 tick range. Not necessarily. If you stick, that's why go with if you're going to go with 377, yeah, maybe. If you're going to go with the 8 tick range, it doesn't make. If you've got the account size to position size properly in the full crude, the 8 tick range is going to be just fine. Or the 8 cent momentum will create trades that are typically going to be 20 to 24 tick risks, and that will be about average. And that doesn't matter, where the price is or what the activity level is. There's still going to be that, because that's just the nature of the range bar. Because each bar is going to be 8 cents, and you'll have a 1 cent break in between from one bar to the next, possibly, if it's just going straight one direction. But that's what I think has happened. Is there's more transactional activity on the micro crude, but the price action is pretty similar. Although on the micro crude it is a little bit more jittery, and it's a little bit more volatile from what I've seen. But either one's a good place to work if with the range bars. With the range bars, it doesn't really make a difference. The place that it makes a difference that we've seen is in the 377 tick, and that really is one of the major reasons that Troy had been running the 377 tick counterpunch for the crude oil inventory report ever since. Well, since Counterpunch came out and he started running Counterpunch for the inventory report rather than Trend Jumper, then that's what he's run up until just sometime this past year. So you're talking about 7+ years he's been on the 377 tick. And the primary reason for him was it usually finished faster than the spotlight momentum bars. But that once the micro crude came out, that seemed to change it, because the 377 tick seemed to slow down considerably. Right. Risk is going to be, if you look at it, it's not the maximum, but your average trade on the 8 cent momentum bar on a 3-bar setup is going to be somewhere in the typically 20 to 25 tick range. So you're looking at $200 to $250 typically of risk on any particular per contract. Yeah, exactly. The bigger trades happen when you're coming typically from a little further away from the balance line, and it takes a 4th bar to get above the balance line, above or below, to cross the balance line. But your typical 3 bar trade is going to be usually in the most of the time it'll be in the 20 to 25. The range. Okay, yeah, and William making a good point. He bases his average at 28 ticks to be conservative. I tend to use a 24 tick average, and of course that's at 24 ticks you're looking at $240 per contract, and not just $240. It's per contract. Yeah, I don't mind using the 24 because the the trades that are bigger are not that common, and it's still only a difference of four ticks of risk per contract, even on the most of the larger trades. I haven't seen anything much. I've seen some 30 tick trades, but very very few. Well, it's going to balance out because you're also going to have a whole lot more of the smaller trades than you are of the bigger trades, because the smaller trades are just where bars you get some back and forth price action and bars overlap more. So that's going to be much more common than the the longer move to the balance line. Well, basically, I'm going to position size based on 2% of the account. Whatever that is. So the point being, I don't want to about money management. I don't want to hamstring myself being too conservative on a lot of the smaller trades. So I'm going to work with whatever the market dictates based on as far as trade size based on account size. And that's where sometimes the micros are handy for, because you've got a little bit more granular position sizing. But once you get up over, I say once you get over to the point where you can easily trade uh, two contracts on the full crude contract, I would definitely be on the full crude. I like 3 positions because I like to do 2 fixed targets and a trailer personally, but that's what I like and what seems to work, and especially with the character of the market right now, because crude is throwing some nice moves out more often than it was for quite a while. But there again, testing. Test it before you use it. Yeah, I'll typically run 3 positions, T1, T2, and trail on actually on MCL is what I'm trading right now. But I just haven't committed the larger accounts to it. Haven't ramped up my trading accounts at this point because I have some other things going on. All right, that's a. Yes, it's got some vulnerability, but the thing is, it hits target one so much that it's gonna, over the long term, it is stays positive. On a given day, yeah, if you take a hard full stop loss, then it's going to be a little tougher to get back positive. But you can certainly do a lot to mitigate with the other two trades. Um, Troy does, I think, because I know he's got the testing on that. I haven't got it handy where I can share it. It's on another computer at the moment. I actually don't use the TA a lot on the for testing the things. I will probably use the TA for the micro NQ, but essentially, right. The video is with TradeStation. Essentially, it's similar, although NinjaTrader actually makes it a little bit easier to test some of the true false items, because you can actually test those in Ninja. Oh yeah, you can definitely test for the use of the trailer and not trailer, and depending on how much data you've got, you know, saved as from your trading, you can go back and do a fair amount of that probably. I don't think. I'll see if I can't put together something for next week to do that with. I haven't got the TA on any of these. Well, I definitely save data for a couple, for both replay purposes, for doing demonstrations and what have you, and for back testing purposes. Now, since I'm running the room and I'm running just 7-8 charts, I've got the data for those, so I can, if I see things that I like in the room, I can go back and test them. I'll see what I can set up for that, and we can. What we'll have to do is test it just a month at a time, unfortunately. Or what I can do is set it up and test it without using the, because I typically test without the, because NinjaTrader allows you to either back adjust or not, and so I can put it together. And well, yeah, but hey, if the trick there is you can download historical data and you can actually use that on replay as well as the replay data. You can replay historical data if you save tick data. And all you have to do to save the data, I've got it off screen. That's not what I want. Oh, it's in there. Okay, the tools option dialog is here. You go down to market data and see, my global merge policy is do not merge right here. And then I record live data as I've got that unchecked because that's right, because I go back and download typically, but I download data often enough that I keep it up, and once it's downloaded, and you've got it there to use. So when I basically each week when I start up the charts, it's going to have downloaded the historic data, so it will be there. I typically don't shut NinjaTrader down but once a week because of my ongoing Forex trades. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that too. Thank you, Jeff. Those you can record live data as historical. You just check that box. But if you're downloading data, if you're basically starting up every day, you're downloading that 8 days, whatever days back of data. You're downloading that every time you start up the charts or start up NinjaTrader and start up those charts. So you're creating that back data. If you go back and look in your historical data, close that, go to Tools, Historical Data. I've only been running this computer for a year. I got it about Christmas time last year. See, I've got crude going back to the February 20th contract. ES going back to March 21. FDAX, because I've just got a chart. I track the volume on that. Heating oil, M2K, MCL, all that stuff is out there from just what I'm normally doing. So I definitely keep that around. Yeah, you can download it from a date range. In fact, that's where you do it from. And that's the edit. I was on the edit tab of that, but if you go to the load tab, you can just select your instrument, start and end date. Now, obviously, if they're not going to have. I'm actually running on a electronics laptop, which is fairly powerful. It was about $3,000. You can do both. Depends on the chart. Now I've got tick data for anything that I've got on the momentum or range bars, or Rinkos for that matter. So anything that I've got here in the room, basically, I've got uh, tick data for. But you're not going to be able to go as far back unless you're keeping it on tick data, because you're not going to be able, typically you can only get 3 to 6 months back on tick data, whereas you can get you may be able to get go back a year on minute or end of day data. I typically try to pick up, especially for forex. Make sure I pick up minute data, because most of what I do with that, other than the pound Aussie, is swing trading. Yeah, on my charts, I think I typically always go back 8 days. So it's basically downloading that 8 days back in rolling fashion. Obviously, it shouldn't be changing, but once it's downloaded, it's there on the computer that I can go back to. So I can go back and do testing on charts that I've at least been regularly having up on the computer. And of course, as you said, all of these charts, as I work them, are going to load tick data, because they're all tick based charts. The Renko bars, the range bars, all of that are based on ticks, not time. There are some. I think Will has done some in some of the boot camps at some point. Will has done some uh, Ninja TA demos. I think I may have done one at one of the boot camps. But it's very, very similar to doing it for TradeStation. It's just done in a little bit different way. It's done on a different dialog box, where you're not necessarily looking at the chart, but I think you can build the performance report from within a TA based chart as well. I just haven't done that in a long time. I understand. I don't use the TA that often myself, because I really don't try to change what I'm doing that often. Although I'm seeing some things that I want to take a look at fairly recently, so I will be working with that a bit more. Let's see. Yeah, the strategy analyzer is where you do a lot of your testing within NinjaTrader with the TA. Yeah, and that's probably true. But then yes and no with that. There are the trailer actually is probably more often where I actually make some of those little art changes with moving the trailer around a chart level, swing level, or what have you, to try to stay in a trade. So that that kind of thing is something that you pretty much have to do with your TA or with your UTA testing, manual testing, because that you got to do with your eyes. The TA can't do that one for you. Well, the other thing what you can do with that fairly easily is you can do the test with just the with 1, 2, and trail, and then all you have to do is just pull out the trailing parts of it and drop the data and drop it into another spreadsheet. No, it's not going to run on Office 365. You're going to need to pull down to actually download an Excel. Now, is your Office 365 64-bit or 32-bit? And I don't remember. Office 365, I don't remember if in the cloud, if it's 64-bit, that's going to be that's the problem. Yeah, that's the reason it won't work, because the macro system in Excel is basically it essentially okay, you may have an early, because they've taken the password request out of it now, but those macros will only run, and it's typical of macro systems for Excel or Word or anything else. If you look at the instructions for most all of them, unless they're specifically written for 64-bit, because it's a totally different scripting language in 64-bit versus 32-bit. But yeah, most of these macro systems were written for the 32-bit Office, and therefore that's why when we talk about UTA and using it on Excel, we always try to stress, make sure your Excel is 32-bit, because that's the only place it's going to work. If you can get the full the non 360, but the actual Office software, most of the disks come with both the 32 and 64-bit on them now. You just have to make sure when you install it, you install the 32-bit x86 versus x64. You shouldn't, because I've actually run the TA, or not the UTA, on, I believe, I think as late as 2019. But it's a 32-bit, and it's not a 360, it's not a cloud version. It's a, it's actually loaded on my computer, so I don't have to be connected to the internet or what have you. But yeah, that's a limitation of most of the macro systems for a lot of the automated stuff, especially if it goes back into versions as early as '03 and '07 like this does. These macros were originally generated for Excel 2003. But I've run it on 13, 16, and 19, I think. And had no issues with it. You're quite welcome, Pamela. Well, I'm going to have to jump off here because I need to step into the CEO Trader Mastermind session starting in just over 5 minutes. So we will see everybody next week. Have a good weekend. Everybody have a good weekend. Make sure you check your volume on tomorrow and Monday on the e-minis. They're going to be rolling over either tomorrow or first couple of days of next week. Everyone have a good one. See you Tuesday.